Hi everyone, this is Tuplex. Welcome back. I got a lot of feedback, a lot of comments in regards to the license giveaway. So thanks for everyone's interest. Appreciate hearing from all of you. And I think what I'll do is I will do the random selection of the winner this weekend, and I'll announce it on Monday's episode. Another quick announcement, I will be heading out of town on vacation next week. So I should have an episode on Monday, probably one on Wednesday, but there won't be any on Friday or the Monday after that, because I'll be out of town during that time. This weekend, if I can get some extra time this weekend, I'll try to get a couple more episodes done. But most likely it'll be as I just mentioned. Okay, so we finally have the tungsten plates, so I was able to make the Mark II heat exchangers that we needed. And now that that's done, I can probably dump the tungsten plates. There we go. I'll put them in my train. I'll get some of this other junk out of the train since it is getting rather full. I have an awful lot of power poles in there. Okay, and then let me get rid of this stuff that I don't need. I will hang on to the chemical plant. Okay, everything else looks fine. All right, so the plan was to put the reactor where? Over here. Okay, nuclear PAX is where I want to go. So let's head over there and we will start to set it up. And like I said previously, I normally, in the last several playthroughs I've done, pardon me, I've used this layout, but since I'm using different heat exchangers and turbines, I never know what to say. I think I'm just going to come up with my own layout because the ratios are going to be different than what I have in that blueprint that I like to use. Okay. So the idea was to put the reactors down here. So let's clear out some space. That way we'll be close to water. And actually, I think I should get some landfill so that I can put some straight edges on the water so that we can get, so that we can fit lots of pumps there. So let me grab my 3 stacks of landfill there. I'll go around this time. And then after this, we'll have to do something about getting more uranium. All right, so I think I'm going to fill this in. There we go. And I'll fill that in. And then I will start by flattening that. And here's what we'll do. Let me make a few pumps. Here they are. I'll make a stack of 5. So what I'm thinking is it would be great if I could have pumps there, for example. Right, so maybe they do this. And then put some land over here and have pumps facing the other direction. And routing the pipes somewhere. Actually, maybe this would be a good place to check my spacing. Let me pick that up. I just want to make sure I want to leave. Yeah, see, this way you can get 2 pumps across from each other. that's, I think this counts as water. I think the edge counts as water. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, so 4 tiles. Looks like the distance from edge to edge. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, crap. I should have made that smaller. Oh, well. Okay, and we'll fill that in. Okay, so now I should be able to fit pumps on this side. Yeah, perfect. Now routing the pipes could be another challenge, but we'll get to that. All right, and then we can put more over here. So I'll just mark off the next row. 1, 2, 3, 4, or the next column, I should say. And I'm out of landfill, but anyway, that's where the next column will be. So I'll just make strips of water like that, and I should be able to get a lot of pumps fit in there. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I do want to try to set this up in such a way that I can easily add more reactors and heat exchangers and turbines to the same array. So I think I'm going to follow the same general form as this one, where I have the reactors in a column in the center. So you can see, like here, as you expand, well, there's lots of different prints there, but you can just keep adding more reactors to it. And this one went up to 10 reactors. And then what I would do when I needed more power after that, I would just set up another array of 10 reactors. So I had, in my last base, I had multiple arrays of 10 reactors each. And 10 reactors, I think, gives you 1.2 gigawatts, 1.4 gigawatts. Okay, so let's just try to put together something. All right, so we'll have the 2 reactors started side by side, and then let's split. How was this done? Oops, sorry, I meant to rotate that. Actually, let me look at this blueprint again. Okay. Yeah, so I think we can do the same general layout in this case, and I don't think we need as much space in between. Yeah, so we'll leave a space of 1 like that. Now I have 12 of these, so I'm going to want 6 on each side, like that. I might move this. Let's see, how were they lined up in the other ones? Yeah, actually I'll move this, because the first set of reactors we want to be south of this. All right, so let's just go 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles, 2 like that, and then I'll copy this, and then I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 tiles over there. All right. Is that how this one was? Yes. Okay. And then we put our heat pipes down the middle. Oh, actually, I need to come down 1 more. Or do I? No, I don't. There we go. Okay, so if any of you haven't used nuclear power before, the way that this works is the reactors basically just generate heat. You put the fuel in, and it burns the fuel at a constant rate. The temperature will go up to 1,000 degrees eventually, or 999 degrees C. And then the heat from the reactors travels down the heat pipes where it connects to the heat exchangers, and these turn water into steam with the heat coming from the reactors. And then you run the steam into the turbines to generate power. Okay, so now we place the steam engines, and I'll put those right that, and we put them directly beneath. And in this case, I have 16, so I'm going to put 8. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll put 8 on each side. Actually, I'll complete one side first, and then we'll do the other ones. Okay. So the steam comes down like that. On this side, we can go down straight, and on the other side, well, the other side will also go straight, but then we're going to have to leave room for power poles since the power is coming from the turbines. And in this case, I'm going to use the Mark II electric poles because those will cover a lot more area. Yeah, there, that way I get 2. I only need 2 power poles on each side. Okay, and then we need an underground pipe there and an underground pipe there. Okay, and that way when I add more turbines and heat exchangers, I just put another row like that, and those will be covered by the same set of power poles as we expand. Okay, so when I add 2 more, reactors, we're going to get additional neighbor bonuses too. So at that point, when we add 2 more reactors, we'll actually need to quadruple the number of heat exchangers and turbines rather than just double it, because then each reactor is going to be getting 200% neighbor bonus instead of 100, because it'll have a neighbor there and it'll have a neighbor there. So these 2 right now are going to act like 4 reactors in terms of how much heat they generate, and 4 reactors will behave like 12. So I guess we have to triple it. It'll behave like 12 because you have the reactor itself plus 200% bonus on each one. So that's like, so each one puts out the same heat as 3 individual reactors. So 4 times 3 is 12. All right, so on the other side here, why the heck do I keep doing that? Sorry, keep hitting the wrong buttons. Okay, let's just get this lined up. Actually, I think I wanted this to be down 1. So let me pick this up and just move it down 1 more space. I wanted it to be just below the reactors. There we go. Okay, and then I just need to add the steam pipes here and the undergrounds there. Okay, and then we need to connect the two sides. Actually, I don't want the power poles there. You know what? I have to make sure I have enough room here. Yeah, I do. Yeah, actually, I'll put the poles joining the two sides down here. There we go. And I'll throw in a couple lights. All right. And then we feed the water up here, and I think we need, I wonder if these, I can't click on those. I wonder if that tells me how much water they consume. It does not. But I know on the original blueprint, which makes the same amount of power, each column of steam engines. Okay, yeah, so it looks like each column of 2 steam engines requires its own dedicated pump. So we'll set it up like that. Okay. So now all we need is heat. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a few of the fuel cells because I want the reactors to start warming up, and they take a while to do that. It actually takes about 2 fuel cells just to get them up to 500 degrees to where they can start making steam. So when you start with cold reactors like this, once you put fuel in, you'll probably have to insert a second fuel cell before it even gets hot enough to start making steam and generating power. The good thing though is that once they get hot, they'll stay at about 500 degrees all the time once they warm up initially. And the reason for that is that in the game, you only lose heat when you convert water to steam. And since these only make steam at 500 degrees, once the temperature drops below 500 degrees, like to 499, let's say, it'll stop making steam and it'll stop taking heat out of the system. So it'll just stay at 499 until you add more fuel, and then it'll get up to temperature, almost immediately at that point. But initially it takes a little while to get these things warmed up. So I'm just going to put in 1 fuel cell each. And you can see that once they have fuel, then the neighbor bonus appears. So you can see neighbor bonus 100% on each one of these. And you can see the temperature slowly start to increase. Okay, so we'll let that work. The other thing I want to do is set up a steam buffer. Because of the fact that nuclear burns fuel at a constant rate, no matter how much energy you're using, you want to take advantage of the extra heat that you don't need. So one way you can do that is by putting steam into storage tanks. And then we can set up a circuit so that we'll only, because even when the reactors don't have fuel, if you have steam in a tank, if steam stops coming from the heat exchangers, then steam from your tanks will start going in and driving the turbines. So that's the way that you can kind of store excess energy that you don't need right away. So I think what I would like to use are these is a Jack's pressure tank, because that holds 350,000 in a fairly small footprint. So I think I'll just use one of those. And as I add more turbines and steam engines, or as I add more heat exchangers and steam turbines, I might add additional tanks, but you know, just having one tank might be enough. All right, so I'll just put it here. I'll add an extra bit of pipe there. Okay, and that way whatever steam I don't use will go into the tank and store up, and then, like I said, once the steam stops coming from the heat exchangers because the temperature went down, then the steam from the tank will start to go out, and that'll continue to generate power. Okay, so let's see how we're doing. All right, we're up to 420 some degrees. Actually, because I'm starting 2 instead of 1, we might get to 500 on the first set of fuel cells. But the other thing that we have to do is connect this to the main power grid, which I can do like that. Okay, so now we see everything connected. We can see that our maximum capacity is increased. Let's see how we're doing here. Okay, yeah, we're up over 500 now. And now that these are at 500, these should start to make steam. Any second now. Unless I wonder if the Mark IIs need more temperature. These have a higher efficiency too. Oh no, that's a boiler. Heat exchanger. Okay. Well, normally these would be making steam already, but I'm just wondering if maybe the Mark II heat exchangers need to be hotter. All right, so let's just put in, I'm going to put in another set of fuel cells, and then I'll take out the used uranium fuel cells, which we can recycle. All right, so eventually we'll see some steam start to appear, but let's see if maybe it starts around 600 degrees. It takes a little bit of time for the heat to propagate through the heat pipe too. It's not instantaneous. All right, so this is at 600 now. Is it going to make steam? There we go, 625. Okay, interesting. All right, so now we're making power. You can see that we're collecting steam as well. See, and just like that, we've already got 30-some megawatts. Now, I think the game will generally try to balance the load between nuclear and regular burner fuel plants. So I think we're not going to get this up to full capacity or have this running 100%. But we can put in some circuitry so that we can shut off the steam power as long as this is running. And, you know, we can make an accumulator or something, and as long as it has a positive charge, we'll turn off the other steam power. Okay, so that's working. The temperature is continuing to rise. So now what I want to do is set up my control circuit so that we can only add fuel to this when we need it, which is when the steam drops below a certain level, right? So if there's no fuel in the reactors, but we have a lot of steam saved up, then I don't want to put any more fuel in the reactors, because then it will just burn it for no reason. And the way that I've done that before is with a pretty complicated circuit that looks like this, where I use like SR latches and all kinds of crazy stuff to control the insertion. But now that I think about it, maybe I could just tell it not to insert fuel when the steam tank is... No, I do need the latch. You need the memory latch because you need to know if there's already fuel inserted or not. Because you don't want to add more fuel when there's already a fuel cell in there. Because then all you're going to be doing is stacking up fuel in the fuel slot endlessly until, until your stop condition is met. So that's why I use the SR latch, because that's a way that you can monitor the, well, basically when you insert fuel, you just monitor your inserters, and when you see it pick up a fuel cell, you say, okay, there's fuel inserted, and then you hold that value until it takes out the empty one. When it takes out the empty one, then you reset it, and that way you have a signal that tells you if there's fuel inserted or not, because there's no way to read it with a circuit. You can't hook logic circuits up to this. So let's go ahead and set that up. Yeah, and I'll just do this. And I need, I guess those are decider combinators. Yep. Okay, and then I need an active provider. Where are those? I can't make one. Okay, I'll come back to this. Okay, so here's the way that this works. We have the... First, let me get rid of that. I don't think I need that. All right, so this is basically looking for a uranium fuel cell. And on these inserters, these are set to read hand contents so that when it picks up a fuel cell from the chest, it'll send that signal over here with the red wire. Okay, so I need to feed that. No, I only need that on the first one. Okay. So when we pick one up, we send a signal of S equal to 1. Now this is the SR latch, and basically this says that as long as S is equal to R, it's going to output an S, and the S feeds back to the input. So once you set an S, then the S goes to the input, S is greater than R, so you continually have a signal of S equals 1. Okay, and that's what this light will indicate when S is greater than 0. It'll turn on, and that's how you know that fuel has been inserted. Okay, And then this one monitors the inserter that is taking the spent fuel cell out. So when it takes a fuel cell out of there, it'll send an R signal to the input of this. At that point, S is no longer greater than R. It'll be equal to R. It's not going to output the S signal anymore, so this will turn off. And it'll stay off until it gets an S signal again. That's why they call it a latch, because once you set it to either a 1 or a 0, or in this case to an S or an R, or to an S or no S, more realistically, once you set it, it'll stay that way until it gets the opposite input. So it acts kind of like a little memory cell. Okay, and then this one keeps an eye on the steam, and it'll output a green signal if the steam is below a certain threshold. Okay, so one thing that we have to do is we have to feed a steam signal into that from our storage tank. And I will send that up on the red wire. This way. Let's see. Okay. Red wire, and then we'll plug that into the input. Okay, yeah, so there I've got 92,000. So this is set up to where if the steam is less than 100,000, it'll send a green signal. So that green signal for me means that I want to put more fuel in when it's time to put more fuel. If there's already fuel in there, it's not going to put in another one until it's empty. Okay, so I make this green signal. This is saying if S is less than 1, it'll make another green signal. So this other green signal just means that it's ready for more fuel to go in, right? Because if S is less than 1, then that means there's no fuel currently in the reactor. And then this one says if green is equal to 2, and in this case, green will be equal to 2 when steam is low and when there's no fuel in, then it's going to output a blue signal. And then the inserters that go into the reactor, they're looking for a blue signal. When it has a blue signal, it's going to add fuel. All right, so I know that that is rather complicated. And that's one of the reasons that I was hoping to not have to use this, because it is rather complicated. And if it's not working right, it's pretty hard to troubleshoot. But we're going to use it anyway. All right, so I'm going to put, let's see, if I put the robot here, I wonder how many reactors I'll be able to cover. 2, 4, 6, 8. Yeah, 10 would be like down to there, right? So if I put this here, yeah, that'll cover the whole thing. So I'll put that there. So yeah, we're going to use robots to feed these. And then I can't remember where I had the power poles for those inserters. I think I had them in between each set of reactors, like this maybe. Or like that. I don't remember. I'll just put a power pole in the middle there. And we can throw in some extra lights too. Because the the other way that that blueprint worked. Oh, I see. Okay, I'll just do it like that. All right. Yeah, so you can see that this has still been running for quite a while, just on the steam that we accumulated down there. All right, and this is ready to insert more fuel. Of course, it doesn't have any right now, but when it does, it'll put more fuel in. All right, so let's just go ahead and put in some fuel. All right, now this one I'm going to have to do manually because it didn't have fuel in it on time. But you could see that now that this light is on, that means that there's fuel inserted. So it's not going to input any more fuel until it sees a spent fuel cell coming out. That way we don't just continue to dump fuel into the reactor when it's already burning some. All right, so let me grab some white circuits so I can make another active provider chest. And then we'll get the robot set up in place to feed this. All right, yeah, so these are just requesting 10 fuel cells each. All right, so, and you can see that these are still at close to 700 degrees. All right, yeah, they're starting to make steam again, slowly but surely. I guess the steam pipe's full already. Eventually it'll start to back up. Okay, and then you can see now that this green light has turned off because our steam level is now greater than 100,000. I think I'm going to make some Nixie tubes so we can monitor that. This will hold 350, so I'll need 6 of them. So we'll just set up a display up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Too bad it's not 7, then it would be centered in a very nice, pleasing way. All right, and I'm not sure which one I set. Okay, I guess it's that one. There, so now we can easily see how much steam we've got. Okay, and power's looking good. I'm making very little right now. I hope nothing's wrong. All right, so I'll put another network expander. That looks like a good place. And then I'll put a regular RoboPort up here somewhere. What am I missing for RoboPort Mark II? Oh, some batteries and stuff. All right. And I'll put the RoboPort right here so it's close by. All right, so this needs to be a provider silo. Like that. All right, we need power, and I need some logistics bots. I don't think I have any in the train. Nope. All right, so let's go back for some bots. And let's take a look here to see how this is doing. Okay, so we have lots of steam in the tank. So you can see that this light has turned off, because the empty fuel cell has come out. So this light being off means that there's no more fuel in the reactor. This light is green, which is, I mean, it's basically just like the opposite of whatever this is. So green means it's ready for more fuel when we need it. And then when this one turns green, that'll turn blue. It'll insert more fuel. And then this light will go back on. And it'll keep going. But that won't happen until this drops below 100,000 steam. Alright, so let me grab some bots. I think, yeah, I'll just grab that stack of 24. That'll be more than enough, I believe. If I didn't explain that control circuit very well, or not clearly enough, if you look through my previous episodes, I did a standalone... I did a video where I described it in detail as I was building it, and I think that's in my previous series, my Factorio 0.16 Let's Play. If you look through there, if you look through that playlist, you should find a video where I described how to build that from scratch, and I go into the SR latch and all that other stuff in more detail. There's also a pretty good tutorial. If you search for it, there's a pretty good tutorial on SR latches out there. And that's how I learned how to set them up, and I can't remember right now who made it. Well, that's not good. This one has the whole stack. I don't want that to happen. I think I'm going to have to use... the old-fashioned logistics bots instead of these, because I don't want them to pick up a whole stack, especially not now that I barely have any fuel, because then one reactor is going to have all the fuel and the other one won't have anything. I didn't... Well, I guess I did know I had that there. Alright, well, let's put a little symbol here. Yeah, and I'm going to get the vanilla bots, or the Bob's bots. I think I have some Mark II bots in storage. Because those will only be able to pick up a few at a time, and that way they'll get more evenly distributed. Yeah, so I'll just take a half stack of those regular logistics bots. Alright, let's go back. And then I'll have to set up a way to deal with the spent fuel cells as well, to pick those up from the passive providers. So for that, I think I'll just put a storage chest. Okay, where did my storage chest go? There we go. Alright, so I'll just put a storage chest there. The bots go there. Okay, so now these bots are going to pick up the spent fuel cells. And they might need a charging station. We'll see if they can get back on a single charge. Alright, so I'm going to take half of those out. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to take them all out. And I'll put them back and let them start over. And we'll see how these bots do with distributing evenly. Yeah, I think that'll be a lot better. So it looks like some of the bots are going to this chest and some are going to that chest, which is great. Yep, perfect. All right, so we got 12 there and we got 12 there, which is only a little bit over the 10 stack size. Okay, and we still have plenty of steam, so they won't pick up anymore for a while. And that's great. I mean, you can see how in this case we're going to be saving a ton of fuel by not just putting them in there every 200 seconds, whether we need the power or not. So that control circuit and the steam buffer really save a lot of fuel cells when you're running at a low capacity like we are right now. Okay, so now I want to set up the nuclear fuel. All right, reprocessing. Oh, you know what? I think I might need a centrifuge for that. Nuclear fuel reprocessing. Yeah, so with that one, you can take 5 used up cells and you can create 3 uranium-238s. But I think you have to do that with a centrifuge, and I don't believe I have any with me. So we'll do that in the next episode. I'll make a centrifuge and set up the reprocessing for the spent fuel cells, and then we'll get back to work on some other stuff. So thanks a lot for watching, everybody. See you later. Bye.